What's up guys, my name is Dean, aka the Blue Crusader, and welcome back to another Apex Legends Legend Guide. Now so far we've done Bloodhound, Wraith and Pathfinder, and the third guide we're going to be hopping into today is how to play Octane. This month's giveaway, the March giveaway, is Dirt 3, the awesome racing game on Steam. So if you want to enter, make sure to subscribe to the channel, smash that like button and click the link in the description below. Also make sure to click in the comment section and drop your opinion on the video. The link in the description and the comments allows you to enter the giveaway. We're going to be looking into Octane's kit, we're going to be looking into his mobility, literally everything Octane brings to the table, and you can decide whether you want to play him from this video or whether you want to use some of these tips. This is designed mainly for beginner players to actually give you an outline of what the character grants, although it may still be useful if you haven't played Octane before. So let's begin. Octane has one of the most fun kits in the game. Now he was additionally added in the Season 1 Battle Pass update, so he wasn't really available in the game before like the other legends, but he is definitely one of the most fun to use, and you'll realise this as we progress further into the guide basically, because all of his abilities are kind of outlining on being fun rather than being useful, but they have their own purposes and they can definitely be used in different situations if used correctly. But he's a very noob friendly character, I guess, or a noob friendly legend, and his kit is extremely easy to use. It doesn't really take much smart to actually use them in certain situations, but he's a really fun character, and coupled with good aim and good knowledge of the game, you can definitely win some good games with this character, and he's really fun. Octane has kind of, I guess, the lower end of hitboxes in comparison to other characters in the game. He is quite tall, he does have rather a lanky appearance in his build, but he doesn't really have any obnoxious hitboxes, for an example in the style of Pathfinder. Pathfinder has now been fixed, but for the longest time, before the Season 1 update, Pathfinder's hitboxes were enlarged, which means that in between his limbs, for an example, in between his legs, in between his neck to his shoulders, and arm space to his chest, you could always hit him and he'd take damage from basically shooting into nothing. Well, Lifeline's hitbox has been fixed, but Octane's hitboxes are pretty good. They're not really too bad in comparison to other characters. You won't be taking any unnecessary damage that you don't want to take, because the passive is auto healing, so the passive isn't really overpowered at all. It's actually extremely balanced. It only heals you for 1 HP every 2 seconds, so don't think just because you have auto healing that you're just going to out heal everyone and get loads of kills in each fight. It's actually extremely toned down from what you'd expect. Now the auto healing from the passive actually only works outside of combat, but if you do take damage from any form, even when you're not judged as in combat, for an example, so if you walk into a gas trap from caustic, it's still going to trigger the cancel on your passive, so it's going to cancel your healing effect. But any damage making ability will cause this. Now the Q uses a percentage of your legend's health to grant you increased speed. This speed is actually crazy, and it's a trade-off by using your health to actually give you the speed buff. It's similar in style to if you played League of Legends. There's a character called Dr. Mundo or the character Vladimir. Both of these characters use the health to actually get a spell output or get damage from, but they have to sacrifice the health. This is kind of like a vampire effect, if you will. Now the Q speed up is actually great to dive out of fights. It's great to loot fast at the beginning of the game, especially when all of your team's dropping on that same building, because we know there's a lot of people on our team when you queue up with randoms that never split from the drop. They always go and loot your building and steal your loot. Well, with Octane, you're not going to have this problem. Smash that Q down at the beginning of the game and you're going to be running faster than literally anyone. As long as you have the knowledge of what you need to loot, you can basically pick up anything you need to. This alternatively can be also annoying when your teammates use Octane to actually steal all the loot in the game. Although it's extremely risky to use this Q, especially at the start of the game, because you're going to be sacrificing some of your beginner health to actually loot these buildings or catch up with enemies, which means you could lose those early game trade-offs. The best use I found with the Q from playing with it is how great shotgun rushing with it is. Any average player that you go against, or new player to the game for an example, is going to struggle to hit you. Most of these people are already practicing their aim and trying to get better, but when you're playing as Octane, you're going to be running around like Sonic, literally, so they're going to struggle so much to actually hit any shots on you when you're moving extremely fast, which actually gives you time to aim and hit your shots. So it can be really nice to couple this Q with an either A or a peace key keep a shotgun rush. Now the Q grants a 6 second 30% movement speed buff increase. It's weaker and slower though than the Bloodhound ultimate, so if you are trying to use it to chase a Bloodhound who's activated his ultimate, then you're going to be in short luck because Bloodhound does run at a slightly faster speed, but it can be also useful to chase down other people, and it's the second fastest in terms of speed buffs in the game. The downside though of Octane is not necessarily the cooldowns, since the Q literally has a 1 second cooldown minus the intervals between the reset of the ability itself, but the Q uses 10% of your overall health. Now we mentioned before that the Q does use your health, but it uses 10%, which doesn't really seem like much, but if you're using it continuously, it's really going to cut into your character's health, meaning if you're on low health for an example, you're going to struggle doing nearly anything if you overuse it. So the tip is to basically use it only when you need to and don't overuse it, although it's extremely easy to do so based on its low cooldown. You can use health items though, such as the stim packs in the game, to recover from overusing the Q, although this is another trade-off because you're basically going to be wasting all of your healing items on the regular if you're using the Q too much. But using the Q, for an example, just one time won't really necessarily penalise you so much, as long as you're out of combat for a little while, because your passive can actually kick in and compensate for the lost health because it's going to heal you. Along with the speed though, make sure you have a good weapon to use, since you're going to be at a disadvantage in any fight basically from the minus in health that you've used from your Q. Because your Q takes up 10%, if you use just 2 Qs, you're going to be down 20% in a fight, especially if you're against a really good player that has a good weapon. This is going to put you at an extreme disadvantage, especially if someone's on the same skill level or higher than you. So just make sure that you loot good weapons at the start of the game with Octane, because when you use your health, you really need that extra damage output to win a trade, especially when they're already going to be an advantage because you're already lower in HP. Now the stim ability does take a lot of skill to be used in a smart way, but it's not really hard to use in any way. If you're just using it casually or using it for any of the reasons listed before, it's a real noob friendly way to use your champion. Although it does take quite a lot of skill to be used in the right situations and to not overuse it, because like we said before, this is the biggest downside about Octane. The ultimate is something I didn't really expect to be implemented into Apex though. Now, if you're familiar with one of the most recent updates, remember those jump pads that were in certain places in the map for a little while in one of the recent patches? Well, this is exactly what they've added to Octane. Those jump pads which are added have been implemented into being Octane's ultimate instead. You can throw down these jump pads to initiate combat, so if you want to dive into an enemy team quickly and take your whole team into a fight, if you want to get out of combat, and they can also be used to get into the zone. Now the best way that I found to use them in a fight is to actually gain high ground by using the launch pad to jump on a roof. Enemies can also use these jump pads though, so hiding them is super important if you're using them to get to a roof, because enemies can alternatively use them to get the drop on you from behind, which is something you really don't want to happen. When using the jump pad though, it doesn't have a placement arc or grid like effect like the FORTNITE building for example, which gives you a stencil like appearance on where you want to place it. No, Octane will just throw it down in the direction you're looking at, and it's based on your mouse position for the throw distance. So depending on where your mouse is vertically on your screen, it'll throw the jump pad higher or further away. Now it can be really useful to toss this in mid-fight, especially if your team is literally just looking to dive straight out of the fight, or use it to dive straight in the fight, or get to the roof like we said before. But it's not really as useful as Pathfinder's grapple ability for an example, especially because if you take into account Pathfinder's ability, he uses it and it doesn't really leave any trace that the enemy can use. Sure, Pathfinder's ultimate can be used, the zipline, by anyone in the game, but his grapple, which is his Q, disappears as he goes towards the object, so it doesn't leave anything behind for the enemies to take advantage of, whereas the jump pads on the ultimate of Octane is leaving behind the jump pads for the enemies to use as well. There's kind of a trade-off in that example also. Now, Wraith is still more popular and probably will always be more popular than Octane, mainly because she is the shortest character in the game and the thinnest to height comparison, which means she has extremely tiny hitboxes in comparison to literally every other legend, and the mobility she grants not only with her Q and her Z ability means that you'll still be seeing people playing Octane a lot, but Wraith is definitely the most favoured, especially amongst those top players and streamers. I hope a lot of these tips and tricks to play Octane helped you guys, and this is mainly just an outline on how to play him, what his kit is, and basically what the whole character brings to the table for any new players, beginners, or anyone who's looking to touch Octane. So I hope these tips help you. If they do, or if they did, smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below which legend you want me to cover next. Anyone who's subscribed or liked the video can click the link in the comments or the description to enter this month's Steam giveaway. We're giving away the racing game Dirt 3, so if you want to be in the chance to win that, then definitely do subscribe, like the video, and click that link below. Each month we give away a brand new game though, so if you are unlucky this month, each month you'll get the chance to win a new game. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll catch you next time.